Apple, the resilience guardian. You've been told your body is a problem to be solved, but your frame isn't a mistake. It's a 10,000-year-old masterclass in survival. It's the build that helped your ancestors survive the impossible when everyone else couldn't. Let's be direct. No body shape carries more cultural baggage than the apple, and no body shape is more misunderstood. Having an apple shape isn't a failure of self-control or a broken metabolism. In the wild, it was a genius piece of biological engineering. Think about it this way. Storing energy in your center puts your fuel reserves right next to your engine, your heart, lungs, and liver. In a crisis, your body doesn't have to wait for energy to travel from your limbs. It's right there, ready to be used. Famines in the ancient world didn't always come gradually. Sometimes food just disappeared. A sudden drought, a snap winter, or a failed hunt. In those moments, survival was measured in hours, not months. During the first 72 hours of total starvation, your brain and core organs are at the highest risk. This build was designed specifically for that 72-hour window. It provides a rapid response fuel depot that keeps your vitals running when peripheral fat is too slow to move. Biologists call this the selection pressure of acute scarcity, the idea that your body was forged by surviving the most sudden, brutal moments of history. This is exactly the kind of rapid fuel advantage that researchers like Gary Schwartz have highlighted in evolutionary biology. But here is the piece almost nobody mentions. This survival edge wasn't just about fuel, it was about focus. The system that stores energy this way is also linked to how you handle stress. The Apple build often comes with a higher revving nervous system. That sounds like a bad thing today, but ancestrally it meant heightened vigilance. Your body stays alert. It reads the room, and it's ready to move. This stress reactivity is actually a form of social intelligence. It's the ability to sense tension and shifts in the group before they become a crisis. That vigilance didn't just save your life, it saved the whole tribe. The psychology of this build is resilience and attunement. You feel things deeply. You process your environment intensely. You sense what's wrong in a room before anyone even says a word. Here is what that looks like. You walk into a meeting or a party, and within 60 seconds, you know something is off. The conversation looks normal. Everyone is smiling. But you feel a tension, maybe between two people or just in the general energy. You've learned to keep it to yourself because people tell you you're imagining things. And then, 20 minutes later, the argument breaks out. That's not anxiety. That is a precision environmental sensor doing exactly what it was evolved to do. You've been told you're too sensitive, but you're actually a high-definition radar in a world that's forgotten how to listen. But while the Apple build was designed for the snap crisis, the sudden famine, or the quick threat, there is another build designed for the ultra-long game. If your body balances its reserves across your chest and hips, you aren't just built for survival. You're built for high-stakes stability. Hourglass, the gatherer protector. This build exists because it solved one of the hardest problems any human body has ever faced. The long game, balanced energy stored across the chest and hips, a narrower waist that acts like a clear metabolic signal. These curves aren't just for show, they are highly functional. Think of the hourglass frame as a biological dashboard. That specific waist-to-hip ratio isn't just a visual trait, it's a signal of deep, internal stability. It tells the world that your hormones are in balance and your body is resilient enough to handle long-term stress. This isn't just an opinion. Researchers like Devendra Singh found that across dozens of different cultures, this specific build consistently predicts biological health and the ability to stay strong through the toughest conditions. But that stability wasn't just for you, it was for the whole tribe. In early human history, the most valuable person wasn't always the fastest or the strongest. It was the person who was metabolically reliable. Think about the impossible task these women were solving. You aren't just feeding yourself, you're feeding the next generation for years. You're staying healthy through long winters and lean seasons. You're maintaining enough energy to keep the group going, but staying agile enough to keep moving. You're balancing everything, all at once, for decades. The hourglass frame is a metabolism tuned for resource management. It represents just enough storage without being weighed down, and enough strength without the bulk. This physical balance creates a specific kind of psychological drive, a deep-seated need to nurture, stabilize, and manage. You don't just do this for people. You do it for environments, relationships, and systems. You notice when things are running low, before anyone else does. You hold things together quietly, long before a crisis becomes visible to the rest of the world. You feel it most clearly in moments like this. Everyone else at the table is running on empty. They're snapping at each other, making short-sighted mistakes, and losing their cool. But you're the one quietly doing the math. You're rationing the energy in the room. You're thinking 3 steps ahead. You've probably been called the calm one in a crisis. That's not just a personality quirk. That is the spirit of an ancestor who kept an entire group alive through a 3-month winter. In today's world, we call this operational intelligence. It's the ability to keep working across long timelines, managing 100 moving parts, and staying steady under pressure. You aren't built for a quick sprint that leaves you burnt out. You are built for the marathon. You are built for decades. That metabolic stability is what made the Hourglass a pillar of the community. But early human groups also needed something else: active, high-output power. If your shoulders are broader than your hips, you aren't a masculine version of a woman. You are evolution's high-skill defender. Inverted triangle, the high-activity strategist. Broad shoulders, a strong upper body, narrower hips. At some point, someone probably told you this shape wasn't traditionally feminine. What they didn't tell you is that, in the ancient world, this build was extraordinarily powerful. The inverted triangle isn't a masculine mistake. It is the result of thousands of years of evolution, selecting for high-activity, high-skill roles. In ancestral societies, women weren't just passive observers. Research by anthropologists like Kim Hill has shown that women were climbers, builders, and defenders. They harvested from high trees, carried heavy loads across their shoulders, and stood their ground when the group was threatened. Your frame was built for this. Your wider shoulders aren't just broad, they provide a mechanical advantage. They allow you to generate more force in pushing, pulling, and lifting than almost any other build. And those narrower hips, they aren't just a lower profile. They reduce weight at your base, giving you more agility and speed. While other builds were designed for long-term endurance, yours was designed for active, high-output power. But the most interesting part isn't the physical strength. It's the psychology that comes with it. The mind of a strategist is built for decisiveness and action. You have a very low tolerance for inefficiency. You have a quick instinct for identifying exactly what needs to happen. And you want to move now. You aren't built to wait for a slow consensus. You're built to assess the situation, act, and then adapt on the fly. You feel this most in meetings or group projects. Someone has been talking in circles for 20 minutes. To you, the answer is obvious. The path forward is right there. There's this physical sensation in your body, a building pressure to just do something. You've probably been told you're too direct or impatient. You aren't. You're just running on hardware that wasn't designed to wait while everyone else catches up to what you already figured out 10 minutes ago. In the past, that trait kept your tribe fed and protected. Today, it makes you exceptional in any environment where initiative is rewarded. You feel it as a constant drive, a need to be doing, building, or achieving. That's not restlessness. That is your body telling you it was built for active output, and it's simply waiting for a worthy target. Initiative and defense are survival multipliers. But in some environments, the greatest threat wasn't a predator, it was the heat itself. If your frame is lean and column-like, you're running on one of the most efficient designs in human history. Rectangle. The agility specialist. Lean through the torso. Shoulders and hips roughly the same width. Minimal fat storage around the waist. At first glance, this looks like a neutral frame. But biologically, it is one of the most aerodynamically efficient designs the human body has ever produced. And in the right environment, efficiency is everything. Humans have a superpower, the ability to dump heat through sweating better than almost any other creature on Earth. Harvard researcher Daniel Lieberman has shown that this is what allowed our species to outlast predators. The column build is the ultimate expression of that principle. With less thermal insulation, your body stays cool during sustained physical output. In high heat or high humidity, think dense tropical forests or sun-drenched plains, this is the body that keeps functioning long after others have begun to slow down. You were built to keep going when the world gets too hot to handle. But it's not just about temperature. It's about agility. Without the curves that restrict certain movements, your body is built to pivot. You aren't designed to carry heavy mass over long distances. You are built to move precisely, repeatedly, and fast. The psychology of this build is mental endurance and deep focus. You can stay in a flow state for long stretches without needing someone to cheer you on. You don't need a dramatic arc or constant praise. You are internally consistent. You know this about yourself. You do your best work when it's just you and the task. No check-ins, no applause. While others need visible progress to stay motivated, you don't. You can dive into a long, unglamorous project and just stay there. People might mistake your quiet focus for not caring, but it's actually the opposite. You care so much that you don't need the performance of caring. In today's world, that translates to discipline-based achievement. It's not the explosive sprint. It's the long, precise accumulation of effort over time. That is often what the most lasting success looks like. Pear, the endurance foundation. Lower body fat isn't the same as upper body fat, not metabolically, and certainly not evolutionarily. If you carry your weight in your hips and thighs, you aren't just carrying extra, you are carrying a reserve system so sophisticated that modern science is still trying to decode it. Researchers at Oxford have shown that the fat stored in the hips and thighs is metabolically distinct. It releases energy more slowly and steadily than any other kind of storage. It is resistant to short-term dieting or fluctuations. In other words, your lower body isn't just storing calories. It is storing the future. In an ancestral context, this was the survival bank. Think of long migrations, winters where food disappeared for months or years spent nursing children. The woman with robust lower body stores didn't just survive these conditions, she thrived, and she ensured her children survived too. Your hips and thighs are a mobile pantry, specifically designed to protect their contents until they are needed most. Structurally, this build also gives you a lower center of gravity, which creates incredible physical stability. You are built for sustained, load-bearing movement across uneven terrain. You are built to carry the weight of the world, literally, over long distances, without breaking. The psychology of this build is deep patience and tenacity. You see life as a process. You aren't reactive. You wait, you build, and you persist. When everyone else has burned through their physical and emotional reserves, yours are still available. You know this feeling. It's month 4 of a project. The initial excitement is gone. The loud people have moved on to something shinier, but you're still there. Not because you're stubborn, but because stopping halfway through simply doesn't make sense to your biology. Your body doesn't understand quitting halfway through winter. You trust the process because your body literally runs on reserves that nobody else can see. Every shape we've talked about is a solution, not a problem. A solution that worked well enough to survive thousands of generations of selection pressure, scarcity, and environmental chaos. Your body isn't a project to be fixed. It is an archive of everything your ancestors did right and the traits you've been trained to see as flaws. The wide hips, the central storage, the lean frame, the strong shoulders, the endurance build, each of them carries the fingerprint of a specific ancestral environment that shaped real women who survived real threats and passed something essential down to you. So the real question was never which body type is best. The real question is, what problem was your body designed to solve? And if you want more deep dives, watch the next video on the screen.